Hey guys, welcome back to another flashlight review, and today we're going to be looking at the Wurkkos TD03, and I reviewed the TD04 the other day, guys, and I know some of you asked me in the comments if I could review the TD03. So I ended up reaching out to Wurkkos and they sent me this sample for review. So the TD03, it's a little bit different from the other TD series lights, and the main reason why is that it has this rotating switch here on the back. So that basically allows you to select between all the different modes, lock, step, and tactical mode, which I'll go through a little bit later. But the great thing is that it allows you to still use the light one-handed and still have access to a bunch of other different modes other than 100% turbo or strobe. The interface reminds me a bit of some of those Nextorch flashlights that I've reviewed that also has this rotating switch on the back. It does look a little bit different, but similar functionality. So let's have a look at what you get in the box. Alrighty, so here is the box that the TD03 comes in. You can see some of the specifications here on the side. SFT40 in the 5000K, pretty basic. Now you get an 18650 battery here. 3000 milliamp hour Wurkkos branded cell. You've also got a USB-C charger and also a couple of spare O-rings and lanyard. Alrighty, so I am lucky enough to have almost the entire TD series. So basically you can see on the left here the TD01, TD02, TD03, the one we're reviewing today, and the TD04. The TD03 is the highest throwing one out of these three here, the 2, 3, and 4. Of course, the TD01 has the larger bezel, so that beats all the rest. But in terms of these three here, the TD03 is a clear winner. The styling of them are pretty similar, okay? TD03 obviously does not have any side switch button, quite similar to the TD02 here, similar kind of knurling. I'd say it is just a slightly larger than the TD02, but there is a, pretty significant difference in size between the 3 and the 4, just given that this TD04 takes a 21700 cell. All right, here we have a little close-up of the Wurkkos TD03, and overall good quality construction, especially at this price point. I think Wurkkos really strike up a good deal with their flashlights, and no rough spots or inconsistencies. You can see there the machining is fantastic. You've also got this grippy matte black anodizing, this new anodizing that Wurkkos are using on their tactical lights. And if you've been into flashlights for the last year or two, you'll notice that they have the Wurkkos FC12, and that uses a more shinier finish, something that I'm not a big fan of. I just like the more low-key and grippy finish of this new anodizing. And the head, as you can see, is a little bit larger. There's a slightly larger diameter than the body, but it's barely noticeable. So you can still pocket it. And, the advantage of that is that you get a larger reflector. The knurling, as you can see, is very grippy and pronounced, very similar to that of the other TD series. So basically the TD02, quite similar to that. You've got a single-sided pocket clip there. It's not a deep carry clip, which I think is a good call, given that you've got this rotating switch on the back, and I find sometimes you've got it all the way in the pocket. You can move around, you can accidentally activate the light, so it's good that it does stick out a little bit. Speaking of which, the switch is also quite simple to operate. You basically just turn it like that. There's no pulling or anything like that, just sort of turn it. It does require a little bit of effort to switch between the modes, which I think is a good thing. Moving on to the back of the light, see there's a metal switch here, metal tail switch recessed as well, so the light can tail stand, and does require a confident press also to activate. It's not one of those mushy switches, which again is a positive in my mind. And you've got also battery indicator light here that I'd mentioned just on the side of the light there. It goes from green, flashing red. On the other side of the head, you can see there's also a USB-C charging port. All right, the chunky gasket in there as well creates a nice seal. So looking down the bezel, you can see here the top of the bezel is crenulated. Now this is not stainless steel, this is aluminium, so it's definitely not ideal for striking or breaking glass, but it does give the light a nice accented finish. More of a stylistic choice there. And you've got the SFT40 sitting in there paired with a smooth reflector for maximum throw. And the good thing is I found out the bezel up the top is unscrewable as well, which is great if you're planning some mods. So I'm going to go through the UI, and it's pretty simple. I didn't even have to read through the instruction manual to figure this one out. But on this mode here, this is like the off, I guess, switch, or I guess you can call it lock. So when you've got it in this mode, when you press on the back switch, nothing really happens. But if you press and hold, you do get a strobe mode. Now moving on to the next mode, this is the stepped mode. Okay, so this has 4 different modes that you can select from. Okay, just press that tail switch again. And whatever mode that you leave it in, it will memorize that. Another thing you can do also in the step mode is just press and hold, and that gives you a strobe feature. Tactical mode, which is this last setting here, starts out in turbo and then swaps over to medium. So just press once to swap over. Now say you've got it on medium and you flip back to off. When you turn it back on, it goes straight onto turbo, which is great. So kind of allows you access, I don't know if you'd call it one-step turbo, because technically there's 2 steps between, you know, this middle mode and the one at the back. But if you do it really quick, really, it feels like 1 step. Okay, so I ran a bunch of ceiling bounce tests with the Wurkkos TD03, and you can see here on turbo, get about 30 seconds of runtime on turbo before it steps down. So you can see just around the 1 minute mark, or just after the 1 minute mark, steps down to just under half of its overall output. You can see further down as well, does step down a fair bit to about 20% of its overall output, and I ended the test at the 8 minute mark. Here is a second ceiling bounce test that I ran on the high mode, and you can see the light nearly maintains about 2 minutes of runtime on high before stepping down, steps down to roughly 50% just before the 2 minute mark, where it remains for the rest of the test. This is a final ceiling bounce test that I ran on the medium mode and did pretty well here. You can see pretty much held 100% output for the duration of the test. Also ran a bunch of tests with my Opal Lightmaster Pro, and you can see here on the turbo mode, managed to get 383 meters of throw. Super impressive, you know, for just a small bezel like this. Remember, these are switch on figures as well. On the high mode as well, I got 268 meters, which is pretty respectable. CRI range from 63 to 64, so definitely on the lower end, but this is a light that's designed more for visibility rather than color recognition. You can see as well the CCT range from 4,600 all the way up to 5,300 on turbo. So yeah, definitely a little bit more balanced beam. You know, don't get that really bright bluish white color that you get with some of those 6,500K SFT40s. The TD03 produces some really impressive throw, and I was quite surprised that it even beat out the TD02 and the TD03, which is a much larger form factor as well, 21700 form factor. And I do like this intense hotspot that you get with the SFT40 high candela hotspot, which is great for spotting, long distance, self-defense purposes, and does produce a decent amount of usable light as well with the SFT40. Some considerations that you'll need to be aware of. Now, would have liked to see a dual stage switch instead of this single switch here, especially on the off or the lock mode, okay? And, you know, I know you can hold down the button and get access to that strobe feature, which is good for self-defense purposes, though there is a slight delay when you hold down, probably like a 500 millisecond delay. It would have been good if it was able to access turbo with a half press and full press for the strobe like you see on some other interfaces. But again, with this low to medium priced budget here, still think this is pretty decent interface. I think that the quick access to turbo though, just through this rotating switch here, which you can operate quite easily with one hand, I think that's still a pretty good trade-off at the end of the day. A second consideration that you need to be aware of is that this light has a non-regulated driver. So it's an FET driver, which is common with low to medium priced flashlights out there, but keep in mind that the brightness of this flashlight will drop the longer you run it, just due to the drop in battery voltage. There's nothing to boost it back up. Overall, I think the Wurkkos TD03 is an impressive throwy light It fits somewhere between the tactical and EDC flashlight, and I think it's perfect if you're someone who needs quick access to that turbo or strobe feature, but also just as easily be able to access some lower modes for general use. Comes with everything you need in the box. Comes with a battery, charger, lanyards, all the accessories that you need. I think it'll be perfect as a gift as well. So if you're interested, go ahead and check out the video description. I have a special discount voucher and link there where you can purchase the TD03. If you have questions, let me know down in the comments and I'll get back to you. If you enjoyed this video, do me a big favor and click the like button. It's pretty much the only way that I get my videos recommended these days. And if you want to see more flashlight reviews and keep up to date with the latest news, make sure you subscribe. Alrighty, so I've got the Wurkkos TD03 here and put it straight onto turbo, and look at that, all the way to the back of this golf course. This is an excellent thrower, and a very focused hotspot in the center, but as you can see, lots of flood around the edges. No ringiness whatsoever, just a concentrated hotspot. Okay. You do start to see the light step down at the 30-second mark. Okay, step down now. Can also alternate between the medium and that turbo mode as well. Just using that tactical mode here at the moment to alternate between both. So you can always reactivate that turbo if you need to. Now this is the stepped mode, so first step, second step, third step, and of course turbo. A great spotting beam, and I mean, considering how small the bezel is, it's very effective throwing a long distance beam. I can see all the way into the back to the trunks of those trees, which can be a little bit difficult to see at times with other non-throwy flashlights. I'll go for a bit of a walk and just show you the beam profile. Okay, good thing I've got this microphone now, this wireless microphone on me now, so I can actually talk a bit, but yeah, just having to reactivate that turbo as I notice it stepping down. But it is a good feature. I know with some other more well-known lights that don't allow you to do that, as it tends to get pretty hot when you're holding the light. I can definitely feel, you know, a bit of heat coming off the head of the light, but nothing too difficult to manage. Second step, third step, fourth step, first, second, third, and fourth step, turbo. It's very easy to also alternate between, say if I'm on high here, I've just put it on the step mode. So I'm on high, and then I'm just holding the tail switch and then switching between high and turbo. So, because it remembers whichever step mode that you leave it in. So I find that actually quite useful. It's almost like having a momentary turbo or something like that. So yeah, surprisingly, I quite like this interface. Accomplishes pretty much the same thing as a dual stage switch on the back of the light. Just got to get used to it. Really starts feeling that light getting hotter now. We'll just head back. Wurkkos TD03 on turbo. Amazing, large hotspot and tons of spill. Tons of spill. You can alternate between the medium and the high mode like that. I found a cool thing was to go between this high mode here. Hang on, where is it? 1, 2, 3, like that.
So between high and turbo. So you program the step mode to high, and then just switch it on to turbo, tactical mode essentially. So that really can see well into the clearing and surrounding areas quite easily. The spill starts about 6 feet in front of you. This rotating switch is so fun to use. You can just be on tactical mode as well and alternate between medium and high. Okay, so maybe you're just having a quick little search around, don't need all that much light, and then you can put it straight onto high, press and hold for strobe as well, and then single press to get back into turbo. So I like the fact that you can, just switch in between these. You can even get it to remember, say, like a really low mode like this one, and then go from, well, this is medium, really, medium to turbo as well. Just the same thing, but you could go maybe to low. Where's the low mode? Where is it? Here. It's difficult to see on camera, but low to tactical, which is turbo.